Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Hey now, it is 7:07. It's O'Connor and Company on this Friday. You made it through really quite a week. I mean, when you start your week coming off of Easter Sunday thinking that we're about to enter a nuclear Armageddon in the Middle East, I'm kidding. We never thought that. We've actually paid attention while Trump has been president. So
Absolutely.
we were running around with our hair on fire. But still, it was quite a news cycle and continues to be here in your nation's capital. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning routine. Coming up in 30 minutes, Commander Kirk Lippold. He was the commanding officer of the USS Cole. That was the terror attack in October of 2000 in the Persian Gulf. We'll get his perspective on the Iranian situation. 8:05 brings us Mike Litteris from the National Park Service. And then at 8:35, Anna Giratelli from the Washington Examiner. New book about the assault she had to endure as a victim here in Washington. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Happy Friday, everybody.
Oh, she's got her energy back. Good.
Yes.
All right. Joining us right now, friend of this program and friend of parents and the Constitution everywhere, Ian Pryor, American First Legal Senior Advisor. I said earlier, Ian, I don't know if you were listening, but if you're responsible for a local school system and you get a letter from Ian Pryor at America First Legal, well, you better either spend all your tax dollars on lawyering up and fighting a losing battle, or you settle and you work out the problem. And so that's why I appreciate your activism and your ability to get things done. And now your sights are set on Montgomery County, Maryland.
Yeah, well, I really hope that's the case. I hope they see our letters and they realize that they've got some lawyering up to do or some changing to do. Yeah, look, Montgomery County Public Schools, let's back up a little bit. This was the school system that decided to get rid of opt-outs for parents that didn't want their kids, read LGBTQ plus, whatever the new acronym from Canada is, story time. And that went all the way to the Supreme Court last year, and the Supreme Court in Mahmoud versus Taylor and MCPS, issued a decision, probably the biggest parental rights decision in decades. And here we are with Montgomery County Public Schools, despite getting smacked down by the Supreme Court. They still will not tell parents if their kids, John wants to become Judy. They hide it from parents. They keep separate records. And we see that as a violation of the Constitution under the Supreme Court's recent Mirabelli decision, but also a violation of FERPA because they're essentially keeping this information out of records that parents have a right to see under FERPA. So we requested the Department of Justice investigate the constitutional violations, and the Office of Privacy at the Department of Education investigate the FERPA violations.
So you're specifically centering on this complaint, the MCPS's 2025-2026, quote, Gender Identity in Montgomery County's Public Schools, unquote, handbook. Are you saying that they have instituted in writing a handbook for teachers and educators to utilize, creating kind of this system of how do you hide from parents this gender transitioning? Is it just the handbook, or is it a larger culture around concealing this kind of information from parents?
Yeah, well, I mean, the handbook is really just putting the policy and the regulations into place in a nice, easy location for students to be able to read. And look, Montgomery County Public Schools is far from the only one that does this. We've seen this in Fairfax County Public Schools. We've seen this in Loudoun County Public Schools. I mean, we call these Mirabelli letters after the Mirabelli versus Bonta case. But we're getting ready to churn these out, weekly on schools throughout America because we're seeing it's the exact same language too, which tells me that, this is not some, this is a really good policy that we got from our community. No, this is top down. This is from outside organizations that is pushing this on our local school systems. That
is what is amazing, is that these various local school systems all have the same handbooks, the same policies, the same procedures. Again, in MCPS's case, it's the Gender Identity in Montgomery County Public Schools Handbook, and it sure seems like a detailed plan for teachers, administrators, counselors, government bureaucrats in the school system to establish this policy facilitating students to do these gender transitions behind their parents' back and conceal it from their parents. So, for instance, Ian, what does this book say? If a parent calls up a teacher in MCPS and says, listen, my child suddenly is acting differently, and I'm just wondering if you've noticed anything in school that I should know about. What is a teacher instructed to do at that point? Because you would think the teacher should be honest with the parent who is obviously caring and wanting to know what's best for their kid.
Well, according to MCPS policy, it depends on what the kid wants, right? I mean, if they go to the student and say, well, are your parents supportive of this? No, I don't think my parents are going to be supportive of this. All right, then they'll just lie to the parents. I mean, it's ridiculous. What they try and do is they try and say, a parent, it might be abusive, or, you might not be supportive of this. Okay, well, look, if you call a parent and say, guess what, Junior got 3 Fs this semester, I don't think the parent's going to be very happy. Right. And maybe some of these lefties could say, well, that parent took away their phone and wouldn't allow the kid to, go out and socialize with friends. That's cruel and unusual punishment.
So keep those grades a secret from the red. Or hey, I don't know if they're going to be happy. The child didn't show unexcused absences for 4 days, and you have no idea where the kid was. Well, don't tell the parents because they'll be real strict about it. I mean, where does this end? It's ridiculous. They would never do that, but they do it here with regard to something pretty sensitive and pretty important, a child's gender identity or sex change. So have you heard from Montgomery County Schools on this yet, Ian?
Well, the only thing we saw, which I thought was really interesting, in some of the articles that covered it, it said that Montgomery County Public Schools said, we don't comment on ongoing litigation. Well, this isn't exactly ongoing litigation, right? I mean, we just sent a letter.
Well, maybe they know it's going to be.
Or is there something we don't know about? I mean, are they already under investigation? Or I don't know what the status of the Mahmoud case is. I know that there was a settlement, but it may not be final, and we may not have all the terms of the settlement. So maybe that's part of it. Like, who knows? But it struck me as really odd they said we don't talk about pending litigation when this particular issue is not currently in litigation.
So what is a good outcome here? I mean, is a settlement good enough? What would you like to really see in the ideal, and then what would you settle for?
Well, this would actually be an action to the extent litigation commenced from the Department of Justice. So not any individual parent. Of course, parents could sue. Certainly under Mirabelli, they have the ability to do that. But I think what we want to see is these policies scrapped, right? Where parents have to be informed, similar to what happened in Mirabelli, where there's an injunction and schools do not have the right to keep these kind of secrets from the parents. And they will post something on their website explaining specifically what parents' rights are in these circumstances. I mean, that's what we're after. I think that's what, to the extent the Justice Department acted, that's what they'd be after as well.
In the meantime, Ian, if I were a Montgomery County parent with a child in MCPS and I was listening to this conversation right now, frankly, I'd be happy that you're doing this at America First Legal, but I also wouldn't wait for this to play out. I would want to pick up the phone right now and confront teachers and principals at my kid's school to find out what's going on. Do you recommend they do that? Is there a role for parents to be proactive now?
Yeah, I do. And we have on our website, aflegal.org, we have opt-out letters that are specifically designed for this purpose, post-Mirabelli, where it says, look, we need to be informed, and if you don't respond to us and tell us, okay, we're going to take that as a no. And then, of course, the next step would be to reach out to us at AF Legal and America First Legal, and we'll take action if necessary.
Ian Pryor, America First Legal, changing the world one school system at a time. My hunch, though, is you win a few of these in a row, as you have, and I think the rest will all sort of fall into place, and they're going to get the message. I would hope. Ian, thank you for doing this, as always.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks a lot, Larry. Patrice.
7:15. It's been 4 years since Apple killed off one of the most groundbreaking innovations that company ever brought to the world, and that's saying something. The iPod. They basically said, well, we don't need to make iPods anymore because iPhones basically act as iPods, and we'd much rather people buy that. And so they killed it off. But here's what's interesting. According to reports, secondhand sales are surging right now. Because young people are interested, first of all, in the retro looks. I love that it's a retro look. It's from 2005, people. That's not retro.
We actually remember a time before Apple products could be put in your pocket or your purse. We remember that time.
You know what's weird to think about?
Ago.
You know what's weird to think about? When Happy Days came on the air, probably 1977, let's say, 1978. And
Yeah.
it was this nostalgic look back at the 50s, right?
Yes.
Well, the
Yes.
50s was only 20 years before Happy Days was on the air. And it seemed like two different worlds, the America in the 50s and America in the late 70s. Now, if you think about it, I just said it was only, 2005. That's 20 years ago. 2005,
Yeah,
2006 is to us right now what the 50s were to kids in the late 70s. Insanity. Anyway, they're loving the retro look and the retro stylings of the old, monochrome LCD and the little wheel to choose your things. It's not a touch screen. It's none of that stuff. There's also another thing about it. You can listen to music. You control what's there. You download it. It's not like an automatic Spotify playlist that just keeps re-upping and pushing music at you, or podcasts or whatever. You control it by uploading it to the device or downloading it to the device, what have you, and then you unplug, and you're not connected through a cellular connection or through a Wi-Fi connection. It's just a standalone little dumb device that has everything you need to listen to, and then you're sort of immersed in that. And there's something so peaceful. No alerts, no text messages, no bings from your social media. It's just what you want to listen to, and you can escape. I like that.
I like it. So I'm reading on Quartz, which is a popular kind of tech news website, talking about the reasons why it's making a comeback. And they do mention, as you said, it's the nostalgia, it's the desire to really unplug. And then interestingly, they talked about the link between younger users of technology and older younger users. So if I'm a millennial, I guess I'm not young anymore, but the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, like my kids, they have no frame of reference for when technology was simply just one device for one specific purpose, single purpose devices, right? Where you had your phone, it was separate from your iPod or whatever music tool that you use. I can go really retro and talk about the Walkman. Who remembers a yellow Sony Walkman? Everybody wanted it.
Absolutely.
Right? So and then you had your oh gosh, it was a Palm Pilot for when you wanted to take notes. And so this is a generation, the younger people, who are very interested. They're intrigued about having multiple devices for different uses.
Yeah.
Whereas we embrace the idea of, oh man, I don't need 3, 4, 5 different things. It's all in one handheld device. So there are lots of different reasons I think that's driving this forward. But I think it's going to be something that really does make a comeback.
I think it'd be a great idea. I tend to not throw out my electronics and my electronic devices. I don't know why. I can't let go of them.
You don't trade them in or sell them on eBay?
Rarely. So I need to go and look. Because I had, I'm pretty sure I didn't keep my iPod Nano, but I had a shuffle for a long time because I like going on cruise ships, as you know.
Yes.
And I don't. And one of the reasons I do is because it's easier to embrace deconnecting. Because it's not cheap to get Wi-Fi on a ship and all that. And I want to disconnect. So for working out or just chilling on the deck, I would bring my little iPod Shuffle with my music and my podcast. But I was having trouble. I mean, these days, laptops don't even have USB ports to be able to plug the dang thing into. And you had to keep that old, 30-pin, little cable that you would plug it into. But that Shuffle, boy, we put a lot of miles on together, that Shuffle and me, and I loved that thing. They were so elegant, the designs, and they were very simple.
Larry, here's the question. Yeah. Do you have a Walkman? Do you have one
I did not keep a Walkman. I had Walkmans. I loved having a Walkman.
Well, the problem is you can't even find a cassette tape, though.
Right, exactly. What are you going to put in it?
So, real quick, we went to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving, and my mom kept those... the learning to read, Hooked on Phonics.
Oh, Hooked on Phonics.
Hooked on Phonics. And so she had a stack
Rush Limbaugh
of those
used to advertise
things,
Hooked on
and they all have
Phonics
cassette tapes. My boys were like, what in the world is this? And then they started pulling out the tape.
Oh, no.
Their minds were blown. I said, you
That's
listen to that to hear people. And they couldn't, they had no frame of reference for a cassette tape. It tickled me because I remember that's all we had, cassette tapes. And then I got them a pencil, and I put the pencil in the inside and showed them how you twist it to wind back up the tape.
You just got to show them Guardians of the Galaxy, man. That's that
I think
that
you're right.
Walkman and that mixtape.
old school for everything for these
huge
kids.
part of that storyline. I love this idea. I always thought the iPod jumped the shark when they moved on to the iPod Touch, which was basically an iPhone without a cellular connection. But the iPod Touch suddenly had Wi-Fi connection. You could download apps. You could pretty much do everything. And it was meant as a gateway drug to get people to iPhones. And when they discontinued the iPod, the idea was, well, listen, anything an iPod can do, you can just do on a phone. We'd rather you buy the phone. But there's something very elegant about the iPod. I think that it really is a game changer. And I got to go through my boxes now and see. I think I'm pretty sure I've still got my shuffle.
On Amazon for about $100 apparently. So if you need a new
nuts.
one,
that's
you can.
It's not a new one, though, is it?
Online.
It's an old one. It's not a new one. But yes,
you're right. New to you, Larry. New to you.
It is 7:23.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37. This Friday morning is just flying by after a really long, busy, full week. Coming up at 8:05, Mike Litteris, National Park Service. Last chance to see those cherry blossoms, maybe, and you should definitely check out the improvements of the Lincoln Memorial. We'll get into it for all you Washingtonians or everyone listening outside of D.C. that might want to spend some time in your nation's capital. Then at 8:35, Anna Giratelli, Washington Examiner, about her new book, recounting the story that she's told here on this program about being a victim of assault and then a victim of the criminal justice system here in D.C. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry.
You get your 80s Motown funk playlist
every Friday morning.
And I thankfully I don't mind this music, so I'll endure it. Joining us right now, a really good man. I've had the pleasure of speaking with Commander Kirk Lippold multiple times. He, of course, the former commanding officer of the USS Cole, victim of an al-Qaeda terror attack in October of 2000, a precursor, frankly, to 9/11, and also, in my opinion, Commander Lippold, a weak and pathetic response from the United States at that time, which sort of opened up the door to the 9/11 attacks, in my opinion. Commander Lippold, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back on again.
I would love to get your initial reaction to the last 5 weeks of this military campaign against the world's number one state sponsor of terror, the Iranian regime, especially since the Navy has been such a pivotal player in these attacks. How do you think it's going? Do you think this is a righteous cause? And where do we go from here now that we're in a tenuous ceasefire?
Well, Larry, I'll be honest, and Patrice, this is the absolute right thing to do. The United States spent 47 years watching as Iran killed hundreds of Americans, maiming thousands more, killing thousands around the world, and essentially did nothing. And what that did is it enabled that country to begin on a path where they were building a nuclear weapon, creating a ballistic missile program that clearly could reach well beyond what they claimed it could do, and then did terrorist proxies throughout the Middle East, destabilizing the region. And now you can see they're stroking off the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. So in actuality, it wasn't a matter of if, but when somebody was going to have to do something. And President Trump said, now is the time. And these are the forces we're going to do it with. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be rather rough at some occasions. But at the end of the day, you can't wait for this claimed innocent, imminent threat that a lot of people tried to put out there. Because when you look at it, what imminent threat? You have to have perfect intel in order to tell you that.
Well, it's so interesting. You talked about kind of the challenges that Americans are going to face, and we've already lost a few service members, but in large part, this has been pretty successful in terms of the lack of the number of people who have been lost. But I think regular Americans are just looking at, what they're paying at the gas pump and how these prices are feeding into what they're paying. And you talked about the Strait of Hormuz. Do you expect to see Iran actually start to allow vessel traffic through, because there are over 2,000 vessels sitting idly by, waiting to pass through the strait, worried that Iran is either going to tax them, force them to pay a toll, or potentially torpedo them?
Absolutely, Patrice. The United States has to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz, as an international waterway, has freedom of navigation for maritime traffic. We could do it alone. It would be much more challenging, take longer, and have a higher impact on those gas prices. Hopefully, we will get our European allies to be able to finally step up to the plate and participate with their forces, because at the end of the day, the Strait of Hormuz is a strategic waterway, and Iran knows that. But more importantly, China's watching this. What Iran did for 47 years surrounding the Middle East, China's done with the militarized islands in the South China Sea. And if anyone for 1 minute doesn't think that they're paying attention to how they could throttle traffic that goes through the South China Sea, they're wrong. So this has global implications in how the Strait of Hormuz is handled.
So as you look at this ceasefire right now, Commander Lippold, and the president put out a statement yesterday saying our military assets are just going to sit there and wait and watch, and they will be rested and ready at a moment's notice. What are you looking for right now to sort of signal that perhaps this job is not done and maybe this won't get settled at a negotiation table? And what do you think the next steps might be?
Well, Larry, I look at a track record of 47 years of lying and murdering, and I don't trust the Iranians. Period. This isn't. This is not a matter of trust but verify. This is a matter of I do not and will not trust you. Actions are the only thing that I will look at.
Okay.
Even today, we had drones attacking Kuwait and UAE. So there are still elements out there that they don't have full control over. And so you look at Iran, they want to make the Strait of Hormuz, they want to be the gatekeeper, and that cannot be allowed, period.
Let me drill down on this then, because everybody says, oh, Iran controls the strait. Well, Iran controls the strait right now only because we haven't tried to stop them. And we could stop them. But my understanding, Commander Lippold, and certainly you have a better military knowledge than I'll even dream of having, but my understanding is that when the U.S. gets engaged and tries to protect ships going through the strait, that is a major escalation in terms of our military commitment there, and it's the most dangerous. It is a very tricky endeavor. It's a very tricky mission. If that's what's needed, what does that look like? Or can you give us some inkling of what our military commitment will be to take back control of the strait?
I think when you look at how we take back the strait, is one key way is to apply pressure to Iran economically. We don't need to invade any parts of territory. We don't need to invade Carg Island, where 90% of their oil comes out of. What we need to do is cut Carg Island off, okay? In order for those vessels to go in,
blockade of Carg Island, you're saying?
Absolutely. And not only a blockade, but you take out the pilots that steer the large vessels in there. If the pilots who guide these ships into major ports around the world, well, they do the same for Carg Island. If they can't take the ships in and out, you've just grabbed Iran by the economic throat, and they are unable to do oil out of there. And you use that as the agreement saying, we will economically squeeze you until you give up and agree that you're not going to have it. And then we take whatever action is necessary to ensure that they don't have the forces projecting from Larak or Keshem or any of those areas that are right next to the Strait of Hormuz, where the toll booth has been set up now in the safe passage area. And we also ensure that the area is clean of mines. Iran may not have put any mines in there. It may have been a great information warfare technique, but until we verify it by putting mine sweeps in there to ensure that there are no mines, commercial traffic and the insurance industries are not going to want to put those vessels at risk.
Yeah.
So this weekend we're expecting some talks between Iran and the United States and Pakistan. What are you looking for in these talks?
I think at the end of the day, the plans that were laid out by the Trump administration have to be adhered to, and Iran needs to realize at this point in time they've lost and they need to start recalibrating. I think the United States still should work toward that initial objective that we put out there, was create the conditions internal to the country where the people can rise up, take on the Basij, which is the internal security forces, take on the IRGC, which is ruthless and quite frankly is running the country today because the religious leadership is either dead, dying, or out of position to do anything. And if we create the conditions for the Iranian people, let's face it, outside of Israel, they're the most educated populace in the Middle East. They're smart enough to step up, take over, and run a government. They have the capability. They're going to need help, and I think we can provide it to them.
I think it would be great to see some of the people of Iran. I know it's difficult, but it would be great to see them to start moving the needle as well and taking some of these towns themselves. I get it. That's a dangerous endeavor, but that's what happens in a revolution. Commander Kirk Lippold, got to leave it there. I think the first time we met back in 2013 or 14, I think I told you that my daughter was thinking about going to the Naval Academy, and you were super gung-ho about that. In case you missed it, she's graduated. She's now a lieutenant junior grade and a submarine officer. So thank you for your inspiration for her. I appreciate it.
Well, that is absolutely outstanding, and congratulations. Well done, Dad.
Only downside is she married a Marine, but we can discuss my strategy on that later, all right?
Hey, you're getting a joint family. This is good.
I keep telling myself that. Thank you, Kurt. I got to hide all the crayons whenever they all come over, though, for a holiday. You know how it is.
I'm not going there. Not touching it. I love my Marines. My first ship was a tank landing ship supporting the Marines above Beirut, and I was actually in the embassy in April of '83 when it was attacked by Hezbollah and killed 17 Americans, a number sensitive to me. So I have a long history, unfortunately, with terrorism, and God love our Marines that are out there defending our country today.
Yeah, and what country funded that Hezbollah attack, Commander Lippold?
Gee, I wonder. I think it's Iran, and once again, there was no response to that attack, no response to the Beirut barracks bombing where I lost a Naval Academy classmate, and then, unfortunately, no response to the attack on Cole, which, of course, led to 9/11. So you've got to draw a line somewhere, and it is unfortunate that we are in the position today where the United States once again had to take a leadership role in the world to ensure freedom can still ring true around the globe.
Amen, sir. Thank you for that. And they are getting their response now. Commander Kirk Lippold, kirklippold.com. It is 7:47. Let's get straight to Jay. I love the Marines, too, by the way. I'm told that since I'm a Marine Corps father now, I can make those jokes. But
I don't know, Larry.
Oh, Marines have the best egos in the world. They withstand all of that and then give it right back, I promise you. In fact, I'll be waiting for it on my X account. All right, well, I'm going to need your help deciphering all of this for me.
Why aren't you understanding?
Cardi B's in the news. Stop that. Cardi B has said, there's a rivalry between Baltimore and D.C., as everyone knows, and she has now recently tweeted out on X, okay, I definitely see the difference in Baltimore and D.C. D.C. gives Harlem, Baltimore gives Brooklyn. What the hell is she talking about?
I mean, I think it's the difference between The Wire versus Scandal. I mean, let's be honest here. There is no rivalry between Baltimore and D.C. Baltimore is The Wire.
So
DC is Scandal.
All right, you're not
Different
helping with more
people,
analogies.
Lifestyles, everything.
What you're saying is DC is more sophisticated, more
about people,
in,
high heels,
more,
well connected. Moving, shaking.
And Baltimore
changing things, laws and regulations, and
Baltimore's
high-powered. And Baltimore is Amsterdam. It is police. It's crime. It's potholes the size of pools in the roads. I mean, okay, maybe around the stadiums and the inner harbor, you're okay, but you go a few blocks.
So this is a safety thing, too. This is a safety thing, and a crime thing. So is she sort of low-key acknowledging that D.C. is now a safer city than Baltimore because that's been President Trump's sort of focus here to make it safer?
Without realizing she did it, yes. I don't think she realized she was giving the president a compliment, hidden compliment there.
Could we have a Cardi B and Nicki Minaj joint 250th celebration at the White House here? Is that in the cards?
That's a lot of big derrieres on one's platform. I think we will stick with one. That's enough. That's enough cake for everybody.
It's 7:54.
Why aren't you understanding?